What is up, everybody? It's SIIK, and here's a new bass house banger. This one is very heavy in flute leads, and the B section is insane. Let's get into it. This drop is from my release called Can You Feel It? And the FLP is going to be available on my Patreon. Don't you guys forget. So I'm actually going to show you one of our first versions of the drop. It's pretty cool, but we kind of needed something more recent, so we spent a lot of time just redoing the whole song. And now here is our final version. We just focused on basically having more recent sounds, housey driven, and we kind of layered like some screechy synths on top of that flute. While we just had this in the past. But yeah, let's get into the project. First of all, let's start with the kick and the rest of the drums. So kick, hi-hats, toms, claps. I layered a lot of elements. Sometimes this is not the best thing to do, but in this situation it kind of made sense because it sounded good. If it sounds good, it's good to go. Stabs. And then these drums for the B section. So the elements are the same. Here I kind of spent a little bit more time working on the fills to make them like interesting. And then so yeah, all that's left to cover is the vocal and the synths. So first I started with a flute lead, layer of plenty of flutes. Plenty of flutes. And then I processed it with a bunch of stuff as well. ODT, Camel Crusher, EQ, more EQ, Maximus, Kickstart, and Soothe. So to make this synth way better for this new version, I ended up finding this lead, processed it. This lead is also from the SIIK packs. I think I tweaked it. I think I tweaked the synth a bit, but I don't remember where exactly. Regardless, like his stuff is just really good. It really helps out my productions in general. Good stuff. I basically layered this and processed it with EQ, Serum Effects, Reverb, OTT, Camel Crusher, more EQ, Kickstart, more EQ, Pro L. I compressed the living hell out of this. Ended up sounding really good and sounded even better with the previous flutes like below it. And then the sub. It's my go-to Nexus preset with Sanguinizer, Camel Crusher, and EQ, and then Kickstart. You can get like this type of 808 out of like any sample, a proper sample, with this compression. It's not you don't need necessarily the Nexus sub. And then for the B section, we have the vocal. Let me explain all these automations. So this is the reverb automation right here. Then we have this. Then it turns on this patcher here, the radio effects. I called it radio effects, but it's not quite. It's just I'm just filtering some frequencies here. Vocal sidechain is just a kickstart. This endless smile is another one. Fade out the vocal basically, and then we use grow speed here just to add a little bit of movement to the vocal. See right here, I have the release almost set to 100, which when it is set to 100, it basically cancels out the effect. But with a release like this, it gives it slight movement. Alright, so next thing. Alright, so this is basically a vocal chop of the original vocal, but with different processing. So I basically processed it very differently with two sets of manipulator. One is for processing, the other one is for vocoding. So yeah, I processed it differently, and then I chopped it up and created this chop. And with one of the manipulators, I used it as a vocoder. I've explained this before, but basically you can use manipulator as a vocoder, put a MIDI out right here, and used it to draw the notes I wanted the chops to be making. And with this manipulator right here, I morphed the vocal. And then the rest of the elements is for vocal compression, basically. RVox, EQ, Fresh Air, Soothe, then Decapitator, then Camel Crusher, Sound Godizer, OTT, Reverb, more EQ, and Kickstart. I get surprised with the stuff that I do. Because I finish the projects, then I go back into it, it's like, what the hell is this? But yeah, so the idea is basically to pick up on the vocal and process it a lot, because it's going to be compressed. I want it to be like very, very gritty as well. And it's going to be in the back, so it's fine. Right here, this automation is a reverb automation, so that's basically it. Control the sound, even though it's a little bit deep in the back. And then what we have is this. This sets the groove, and it's a really, really dirty sound. What works well with this is the beatboxing loop. I made sure to sync them as best as possible, so that's how this character came to be. It's like a layer between the stab and this loop, basically. Without the vocal, we have this. And then with the vocal. Yeah, this is the idea in general. And once again, the FLP is going to be available if you guys want to learn from it. I hope this video was helpful, that you guys got inspired to make new ideas. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye gone, bye goff.